This show and everything else on Complex Action is made possible by the generous support of our patrons on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/complexaction to learn more. And so tell us, what is Neo-Anarchy?
Okay, so the idea is classically understood. Anarchy is this no rules, no government, kind of like chaos on purpose. And I think that from the very earliest days, when it ever gets brought up, authority figures are very quick to say, no, that's not okay.
Right.
And so it kind of gets associated with Mohawks and punk rock and the A's on the shirts and all that kind of stuff, which is kind of cool, but it's really not not the point. And so we kind of grew up thinking, well, anarchy is bad.
Sure.
And this is whenever I have a conversation with somebody, like that's the first thing, like, oh, it'll never work. And it's like, well, okay, like what do you mean by that? Let's define our terms. If you mean that like chaos on purpose will not work, I 100% agree. But the idea of actual anarchism that philosophers posit, that people actually think this is what I believe and this is what I want. Nobody is advocating for complete breakdown of every single rule and complete anarchy. The idea of these philosophical neo-anarchists is that it's not about no rules for society. It's about no rulers for society. There's no one person who deserves to be on top telling everybody else what to do. There's no group or government that has any right beyond what the citizens freely give and freely enter into. So not being coerced to do anything is a big neo-anarchist tenet. Not giving anybody the power over you that you can't take back. So it's kind of a little bit free market.
Sure.
But there's strict rules on that. There's no free market if free market means like I can just outsource everything to a country where they have slave labor.
Right.
That breaks some of the rules. And of course, in Captain Chaos's Neo-Anarchy, technology has evolved to such a point where information is ubiquitous and everybody has access to everything else. And technology is that we could end world hunger, we could end poverty, we could build everybody a house. There's no need for all of the social ills that we have now. We could fix it. It's just that we have given all the power away to these oligarchs who rule over us, and we as sheep think that we can't take the power back.
Sure.
So that's in a nutshell, kind of the positive side to neo-anarchy, at least from my perspective.
So I'm
not trying to convert anybody.
So how does neo-anarchy react to, say, democracy?
I think at its core, neo-anarchism would like the idea of democracy very much,
Sure.
But also realize that true democracy has yet to be tried in any meaningful sense.
Right.
That every time we say we have a democracy, what we really have is people voting on the things that the people in power want them to vote on, and everything else is still decided by the people in power. Now, what I don't want to do is play my hand here about politics on the show, because I want to be as inclusive as possible. And so this isn't necessarily a Republican or a Democrat thing, but it really comes down to, or if you're, not in the UCAS, whatever the equivalent of Republican or Democrat is in your country.
Right.
But the idea is that whatever we call freedom, whatever we call free will, is really an illusion. The fact that we say, oh, I'll go to the store and I look at all these choices I have. I have free will to choose all these different cereals, when in reality, like, the people at the top are laughing because you're still going to buy the cereal. It doesn't matter like what cereal you buy, you are still buying cereal, and they produce all of them.
And probably being influenced to buy this one or that one and so you don't really have the choice that you think you have.
Right. Going to Starbucks, nothing against Starbucks, but if you go to Starbucks, you have literally a million different choices between all the different drinks you can get, and that makes you feel like you have a choice, but in reality you're still drinking Starbucks and you're still, giving money to the people who, you're not making a difference. All you're doing is just choosing what flavor of coffee you have.
Right. You go to Taco Bell and you may buy the quesalupa over the Crunchwrap Supreme, but you're still getting a, tortilla with some beef and
Right.
cheese and
Right.
sour cream. And
Right. So you get, if free will and choice and democracy means that you get to choose your flavor of bad food, I'm not sure that that's what the philosophers behind true democracy had in mind.
You heard it
And I think
first here,
Neo,
folks. Opti thinks that Taco Bell is bad food.
it is a corporation, and you know how Opti feels about those.
Absolutely.
Let's leave it at
I
that.
think this is. I could have a whole entire and maybe in the future I'll have to have you on again, and we can just talk Neo-Anarchy because I absolutely love
Sure.
philosophy. And
This is what happened at Origins last year, where I just got into huge conversations with Vox and Mr. Johnson and Tiny from the Actual Play,
Right.
Arcology Actual Play. We just talked about neo-anarchism for 5 days straight.